Talking about healing yourself is a huge topic for a lot of people. Many of us are on the journey of what we call healing. And we think that we're trying to fix it or make it easier or find an easier way of being here. I would like to suggest that it's not just about healing, it's actually about relearning. And so today I want to talk about the relearning of what happens when we have a traumatic event in our life. What happens to the way that we're taught about things that are traumatic in our lives is that it can cause what they say is trauma to us. And I actually believe that the traumatic events, the trauma that's been created is actually by the way we're taught to deal with it more than it is actually sometimes about the event itself. Even as something as intense as being raped or physically attacked by somebody else. The trauma's usually afterwards, because at the time we go into shock and we have adrenaline pumping through our system. And with my children, I found this very true, that if I guided them in one particular way, so if they had, like my son had a lot of bullying happen, and we just really talked about it and really supported him in a way to see the depth of why he was experiencing stuff, learning how to stop it from happening, learning that the person that was bullying him, looking at where they're coming from, looking at how difficult their life was or whatever it was. And in order to kind of really work on that way with my son, he really needed to just kind of, feel another way first. So what I would do, and this I think is very key for dealing with trauma, is we have to learn how to counterbalance the feelings that we're having straight away. So if it's something that is dangerous, we have to learn how to feel safe. If it is something where we feel like, people have lied to us, we have to remember how many people tell us the truth. So it's like we have to actually set up a position for ourselves where we start to recreate a grounding in our life in that moment where I feel safe. I'm okay in this moment, that I don't have to listen to the fact that it is that now I can't trust anyone, or that I'm unsafe everywhere. So that's the first step in dealing with trauma, is find a way. If you've been traumatized and you don't feel safe, or you've been traumatized because people have taken things from you, or you feel like you can't trust people, then your best bet is to start working on how can I learn trust, or how can I feel safe again. The safety one's really interesting because quite often the safety, we don't feel safe when we are safe. So that's about looking at your environment, understanding, I am safe right now because nobody's actually physically hurting me. No one's hitting me. No one's actually trying to hurt me. No one's coming into my house. The front door's locked, like all of that sort of stuff. So you can go through lists to actually understand how safe you are. And then your job is to find things that make you feel peaceful, or find ways to create a peacefulness in your brain. Now, the reason why we need to do this is what happens is that we have pathways being created in our brain all the time, and pathways telling us how we feel when certain situations occur. So when we've been traumatized, every time we think about the event, we think, oh my God, and we relive it. And the reliving is what actually causes the main problem with the trauma, is that we relive it as if it's happening now, and then we overdo it and to the point where our body is starting to feel incredibly unsafe. So what's really important is that when you first have this stuff that's traumatic, that you find ways to very quickly ground yourself into things that are good, that things that make you feel better, that, have hugs from friends. If you like baths, have warm baths. If you like dancing, dance. Things that will actually change your body chemistry, that make you feel differently, that make you feel more peaceful, that make you feel calmer. And the reason why that's really important is you need to start to feel like there is like a peace place that you can get to. Once that happens, then you can start looking at the event or the thing that happened to you that caused the trauma and start to unpack it a little bit and see how that is a moment in time, and that it's actually something that happened then and not now. The other thing that's really important with it is to look at it in terms of, especially if you're on a spiritual journey, there's always a wonderful gem that we learn from having terrible things happen in our life. That's such a fodder for the soul. And even though at the time it's really difficult, when there's enough distance, we can always look at it and go, wow, that really helped me, you know, learn a deeper level. So the very first step I would say to you with trauma is to find ways to feel peaceful. Find ways to change your body chemistry. Because basically, the reason why trauma is such a difficult thing for a lot of people to heal is because with the event, they've trained their physical body every time they think about the event to have the same experience as if the event's happening. Now that's a normal thing anyway, that when we remember something, we feel it as if it's happening now. When you've had an event that has been really difficult and hard and scary, it's very important to train the body quickly to go back to a peace state, to go back to a place where you feel better. Because once you do that, once the body already starts to feel like it's in a safe, peaceful zone, then what happens is that when you start to feel the trauma, you can anchor to the safety that you're actually in, or the peaceful place you're in. Now, that sounds harder to do when you're in trauma than it actually is. The reason why it's not as hard as we think is because of the way the brain's created and the way our body's created. Lucky for us, our breath actually teaches the body to calm down. So when you take a deep, conscious, slow breath in from the nose and out from the nose, and you actually like sigh out, and you slow breathe out and slow breathe in, slow breathe out, slow breathe in, it will actually stop your body from going into fight flight, and it starts to bring your body into the peace zone, into the parasympathetic nervous system switches on. And what happens is the vagus nerve starts and your whole body starts to calm down and relax, and your body starts to rejuvenate. So just breathing deeply, and that's why when people are having a hard time, people say breathe, 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 because it actually works. So working with trauma, doing any kind of breath meditation, any kind of breath work that is deep, slow, purposeful, mindful breath work will help amazingly. Listening to music that's really calming will help amazingly. Things that make your body calm. And then when you think about the trauma, try and go back into calm as soon as you can. Like anything you can do to make it calm. Music is a really good thing for me, might be for you as well. Just anything that makes you calm. Go for walks and just teach your body the calmness, because the more you can get that calmness into your body, the easier it is for your body to learn this is actually now and that was then. So I hope this has been a little inkling into how to deal with trauma. There's a lot more to unpack, but it is a lot more simple than we actually realize. And the breath is such a key thing. It sounds so simple. It sounds like, you know, hoggity-goog, like it shouldn't work as well as it does. It's amazing. I've helped so many people remove things like years and years of anxiety from trauma, years and years of depression from trauma, just from learning how to come into the now, to learn they're safe now and use the breath. So yeah, hopefully this works for you. If you have any questions and you want more information about this, please put a message below. I'm always happy to upload more videos and answer questions. And also, please, you know, help with this channel, like and subscribe. The more that you do that, the more interaction I have, the more of these videos I'll make. So thank you for watching, and I hope it's helped you. And remember, you're loved.